Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Broadcasting Seeds. I'm your host, Bennett Tanton, here to plant the seeds of curiosity and enlightenment in your minds. If you're tuning in for the first time, you're in for a treat. Here, we dive deep into the strange, the unexplained, and the downright bizarre, whether it's cryptids, conspiracies, paranormal phenomena, or those juicy government cover-ups. Our goal? To educate, entertain, and maybe even inspire a bit of wonder about the world around us. Today, we're delving into a topic that's both spine-chilling and fascinating: hitchhikers. And no, I'm not talking about the friendly thumb raisers on the side of the road. I'm talking about the entities and energies that latch onto investigators after a deep dive into the paranormal or cryptid research. Ever heard a bump in the night after a ghost hunt, or felt an eerie presence long after you've left the woods? You might just have a hitchhiker. This episode will explore what hitchhikers are, share some hair-raising case studies, dig into the science and psychology behind these experiences, discuss how to protect yourself, and finally, we'll hear some listener stories and tackle your burning questions. So, grab your EMF detectors, sage sticks, and maybe a security blanket, because this is going to be one wild ride. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and review our podcast. Your support keeps us going and helps spread these seeds of knowledge far and wide. Now let's get into it, shall we? All right, let's dive into our first segment. What exactly are these hitchhikers? And no, I'm not talking about the kind that ask for a lift to the next town. In the realm of the paranormal and cryptid research, hitchhikers refer to entities or energies that attach themselves to people, objects, or even places during an investigation. Picture this. You're out in the woods, on the trail of the elusive Bigfoot. Or perhaps you're in an old, abandoned house, trying to communicate with spirits from beyond. Everything seems to be going as planned. You're gathering evidence, maybe getting a few EVPs or a blurry photo. Then you head home, thinking the adventure is over. But suddenly, strange things start happening. Objects move on their own. You hear footsteps when no one's around, and you feel an eerie presence that just won't go away. That, my friends, is a hitchhiker. These entities are believed to latch onto the energy of investigators, following them home and making their presence known in increasingly unsettling ways. Some theorize that these hitchhikers are spirits looking for a new place to haunt. Others believe they're cryptids or interdimensional beings that get curious or even vengeful when someone invades their territory. Now, why do these hitchhikers attach themselves to us? There are a few theories. One is that our energy, especially when heightened by fear or excitement, attracts these entities. Think of it like a moth to a flame. Another theory suggests that certain places or objects act as conduits, allowing entities to attach to whoever comes into contact with them. And then there's the idea that these hitchhikers are looking for something. Maybe they're trying to communicate. Maybe they're seeking help. Or maybe they just want to stir up some mischief. But whatever the reason, one thing's for sure. Hitchhikers can make life very interesting, to say the least. We'll explore some real-life examples in our next segment, but for now, let's take a moment to reflect. If you've ever felt that inexplicable chill down your spine or seen something move out of the corner of your eye, you might just have had a brush with a hitchhiker. So, buckle up, because we're just getting started. In our next segment, we'll share some bone-chilling case studies of hitchhikers in action. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Welcome back, folks. Now that we've set the stage, it's time to delve into some real-life accounts of hitchhikers in action. These stories come from brave souls who ventured into the unknown and brought back more than just their tales. Case Study 1. The Ghost of Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Our first story takes us to the notorious Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia, an abandoned psychiatric hospital known for its intense paranormal activity. A group of seasoned investigators decided to spend the night there, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. They experienced the usual ghostly phenomena: cold spots, disembodied voices, the works. But the real terror began after they left. One of the investigators, let's call him Mike, started noticing odd occurrences at home. His cat refused to enter certain rooms. Doors would slam shut on their own, and he'd hear whispers in the dead of night. Thinking it was just his imagination, Mike brushed it off until he saw a shadowy figure standing at the foot of his bed. Determined to get to the bottom of this, Mike reached out to a psychic medium. The medium confirmed his worst fears. A spirit from Trans-Allegheny had followed him home. It took several cleansing rituals and a lot of sage to finally rid Mike of his spectral hitchhiker. Case Study 2. The Cryptid Encounter. Our next story comes from a researcher we'll call Sarah, who had a close encounter with a cryptid in the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest. Sarah and her team were on the trail of a creature locals called the Ridge Walker. They set up cameras, laid out bait, and spent countless nights under the stars. One night, they heard something large moving in the woods. Sarah managed to capture a glimpse of a massive, hairy creature before it vanished into the darkness. Thrilled with the encounter, she didn't realize she had an unwelcome passenger until she returned home. Sarah's ordeal began with strange dreams of the creature, vivid and terrifying. Soon, she started hearing heavy footsteps outside her cabin and found claw marks on her door. It was as if the Ridgewalker had followed her back, angry that she had invaded its territory. Only after consulting with a local shaman and performing an ancient cleansing ritual did Sarah finally find peace. Case Study 3. The Curse of the Crying Boy Paintings. Our third story involves a museum curator named Tom, who was tasked with cataloging a collection of infamous crying boy paintings. These paintings gained notoriety in the 1980s when homes in the UK that had these artworks hung were reported to have mysterious fires, often with the paintings remaining unscathed. Almost immediately after handling one of these paintings, Tom began experiencing a series of unfortunate events: freak accidents, severe nightmares, and a pervasive sense of dread. Tom's co-workers reported seeing shadowy figures near his office and hearing disembodied whispers. Realizing the severity of the situation, Tom consulted an expert in ancient curses. The expert concluded that the painting carried a curse and that the entity linked to it had attached itself to Tom. With the help of a ritual that included burning sage and placing protective crystals around his workspace, Tom eventually managed to break free from the curse. Case Study 4. the Enfield poltergeist. Our fourth tale takes us across the pond to Enfield, England, where the Hodgson family experienced one of the most documented cases of poltergeist activity. The haunting began in August 1977, when the family started hearing knocking sounds and furniture moving on its own. Soon, the activity escalated to physical attacks on the children, particularly Janet, who seemed to be the focus of the disturbances. Investigators from the Society for Psychical Research were called in, and they witnessed objects being thrown, strange noises, and even levitations. The case garnered significant media attention, and skeptics and believers alike were drawn to the Hodgson home. One of the investigators, Maurice Gross, became so involved in the case that he began experiencing strange phenomena at his own home. Objects moved, and he heard the same eerie knocking sounds that plagued the Hodgsons. After numerous investigations, exorcisms, and media coverage, the activity eventually subsided. However, the Enfield poltergeist remains one of the most compelling and controversial cases of a hitchhiker following an investigator. Case Study 5: The Shadow of the Skinwalker. Our final tale takes us to the deserts of the Southwest, where a documentary filmmaker named Alex was investigating the legend of the Skinwalker. According to local lore, these malevolent shapeshifters could take on the form of animals and even people. During his investigation, Alex spent time with native elders and ventured into areas said to be Skinwalker territory. After capturing some eerie footage of unidentifiable creatures and strange lights, Alex returned home, only to find that his nightmare was just beginning. He started seeing shadowy figures that seemed to mimic human and animal forms, and his pets became inexplicably agitated. Alex even found strange symbols carved into the wood around his property. Fearing he had attracted a skinwalker, Alex sought the counsel of the same elders he had interviewed. They performed a cleansing ceremony, which included chanting, the burning of sacred herbs, and a protective blessing. The elders warned Alex to stay away from skinwalker territory in the future, and thankfully, the ceremonies seemed to lift the shadow that had been haunting him. These stories serve as a stark reminder that our quest for understanding the unknown can sometimes bring us face to face with forces beyond our control. Whether it's spirits, cryptids, or cursed objects, hitchhikers are an ever-present risk for those who delve into the mysteries of our world. In our next segment, we'll explore the science and psychology behind these experiences. Are hitchhikers just a figment of our imagination? Or is there a deeper, more tangible explanation? Stay tuned. Now that we've heard some spine-chilling tales of hitchhikers, let's shift gears a bit and delve into the science and psychology behind these eerie experiences. Are they just figments of our imagination, or is there something more at play here? First off, let's talk about the psychological aspect. The human mind is a powerful thing, capable of creating vivid experiences based on our fears and expectations. This phenomenon is known as confirmation bias, where our brains look for information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. So, if you're already primed to expect paranormal activity, your mind might interpret ordinary events as supernatural. For example, say you hear a creaking floorboard at night. In a normal situation, you might just chalk it up to the house settling. But if you've just come back from a haunted location, your brain might leap to the conclusion that it's a ghostly presence. This doesn't mean you're imagining things. Your brain is simply trying to make sense of the unfamiliar by fitting it into a narrative you already believe. Now, let's add a bit of neuroscience to the mix. When we experience fear or stress, our bodies release adrenaline and cortisol, which can heighten our senses and make us more alert. This state of heightened awareness can make us hypervigilant to every little noise or shadow, amplifying our perception of the paranormal. It's like our bodies are primed for a fight or flight response, making us more susceptible to interpreting random stimuli as something sinister. But what about the physical manifestations of hitchhikers, like objects moving or strange marks appearing? Here's where things get a bit trickier. While some might argue these are clear signs of supernatural activity, others point to more mundane explanations. For instance, poltergeist activity, where objects appear to move on their own, could be attributed to subconscious psychokinetic abilities, a concept where the mind can influence physical objects without direct contact. It's a controversial idea, but it does have its proponents in the field of parapsychology. Another scientific perspective comes from the study of energy fields and electromagnetism. Some researchers suggest that certain locations and objects can store and emit energy, which might explain why people feel a presence or experience strange phenomena. High electromagnetic fields, EMFs, have been linked to feelings of paranoia, nausea, and even hallucinations. Ghost hunters often use EMF detectors to identify these fields, though the source could be something as simple as faulty wiring. Let's not forget about sleep paralysis, a condition where individuals wake up unable to move, often accompanied by terrifying hallucinations of a presence in the room. This state occurs when the brain is partially awake, but the body remains in REM sleep. People experiencing sleep paralysis often describe feeling a weight on their chest or seeing shadowy figures, which can easily be mistaken for paranormal hitchhikers. Lastly, we need to consider the cultural and societal influences on our experiences with hitchhikers. Stories of spirits, demons, and cryptids have been part of human culture for millennia, passed down through generations. These stories shape our expectations and beliefs about the unknown, and they can profoundly influence our perceptions and experiences. If you've grown up hearing tales of ghosts and monsters, you're more likely to interpret unexplained events through that lens. But while these scientific and psychological explanations offer some insight, they don't account for every experience. Many researchers and investigators remain convinced that something genuinely unexplainable is happening. The truth might lie somewhere in between, a complex interplay of the mind, environment, and possibly even phenomena we have yet to understand. So, what does this all mean for our brave explorers of the unknown? It means we need to approach each investigation with a healthy dose of skepticism and an open mind. While it's crucial to consider scientific explanations, we must also acknowledge that our world is full of mysteries that science has yet to unravel. In our next segment, we'll discuss some practical measures you can take to protect yourself from hitchhikers. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or a curious newbie, it's always good to have a few tricks up your sleeve. Stick around. After delving into the chilling realm of hitchhikers and the scientific explanations behind them, it's time to equip you with some protective measures and rituals. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or just someone who's curious about the unknown, it's always wise to have a few tricks up your sleeve to keep those pesky hitchhikers at bay. First up, let's talk about mental and emotional preparedness. One of the best ways to protect yourself is to maintain a strong, positive mindset. Fear and negativity can attract unwanted energies, so staying calm and focused is crucial. Before heading into any investigation, take a moment to center yourself. Meditation or mindfulness exercises can help you build a mental shield, keeping your energy grounded and less susceptible to hitchhikers. Next, consider protective talismans and charms. Many cultures have long used physical objects believed to ward off evil and negative energies. Common examples include wearing amulets, carrying crystals like black tourmaline or amethyst, or even using herbs like sage and rosemary. These items are thought to create a protective barrier around you. While the efficacy of these objects can be debated, they can provide a sense of security and confidence, which is half the battle. Rituals and cleansing ceremonies are another powerful tool. Sage smudging, for instance, is a practice used by various indigenous cultures to cleanse spaces and individuals of negative energy. To perform a sage smudging, light a bundle of sage, let it smolder, and wave the smoke around your body and the area you wish to cleanse. As you do this, visualize the smoke purging any negative entities and sealing your energy field. Similar rituals can be done with Palo Santo, sweetgrass, or other sacred herbs. If you're dealing with particularly stubborn hitchhikers, you might need to call in the big guns, professional help. Spiritual advisors, shamans, and mediums specialize in removing unwanted entities and can perform more complex rituals. These experts often have years of experience and can provide tailored advice and support for your specific situation. Physical barriers can also be effective. Salt has long been used in various traditions to create protective barriers. Sprinkling a line of salt across doorways and windowsills is believed to prevent spirits and negative entities from entering. Additionally, iron objects, such as nails or horseshoes, are thought to ward off malevolent forces. Placing these items around your home or carrying a small iron object can serve as an extra layer of protection. Prayers and incantations can be a powerful way to safeguard yourself. Many belief systems have specific prayers or chants designed to invoke protection. Whether you draw from your own religious traditions or use general protective affirmations, speaking these words with intention can create a strong, energetic shield. For example, reciting the St. Michael prayer is a common practice among those who believe in calling upon archangelic protection. Let's not forget the importance of physical self-care. Staying hydrated, eating well, and getting enough sleep can strengthen your overall energy and resilience. When your body is in peak condition, your mental and emotional fortitude is also heightened, making it more difficult for hitchhikers to latch on. Grounding techniques are also vital. Grounding involves connecting with the earth to stabilize your energy. This can be as simple as walking barefoot on grass, spending time in nature, or visualizing roots extending from your feet into the ground. Grounding helps discharge any negative energy you might have picked up and reinforces your connection to the physical world, providing a strong foundation against hitchhikers. Lastly, always perform a post-investigation cleanse. After an investigation, take the time to cleanse yourself and your equipment. This can be done through smudging, using saltwater baths, or visualizing a protective white light enveloping you. Regular cleansing ensures that any residual energy or hitchhikers are dealt with promptly, preventing them from taking hold. Remember, these measures are not just about warding off hitchhikers. They're also about maintaining your well-being. Investigating the unknown can be thrilling, but it can also take a toll on your mental and emotional health. By taking these precautions, you're safeguarding not just your physical space, but also your inner peace. In our final segment, we'll be diving into some listener stories and answering your burning questions about hitchhikers. If you've had your own encounters or have tips to share, now's your chance to get involved. Stay tuned. Welcome back to our final segment of today's episode on hitchhikers. This is where we turn the mic over to you, our amazing listeners. You've shared your stories, asked your questions, and now it's time to dive into them. Let's see what you've experienced and answer some of your burning questions. Our first story comes from Lisa in Oregon. Lisa writes, "Hi, Bennett. Love the podcast. I wanted to share my experience with a haunted doll I bought at a yard sale. The moment I brought it home, strange things started happening. My cats would hiss at it, and I'd hear giggling in the middle of the night. I even saw it move out of the corner of my eye. After listening to your episode on protective measures, I smudged the doll with sage and put a circle of salt around it. The activity stopped almost immediately. Thank you for the tips." Thank you, Lisa, for sharing that spine-chilling tale. Haunted objects like dolls are classic examples of hitchhikers. It's great to hear that the protective measures worked for you. Smudging and salt are powerful tools, and your experience highlights how effective they can be. Next, we have a story from Mark in Texas. Mark says, "Hey, Bennett. I've got a story about a shadow figure that followed me home after an urban exploration trip. My friends and I explored an abandoned hospital known for paranormal activity. Shortly after, I started seeing a dark shadow in my apartment. It would linger in doorways and disappear when I looked directly at it. I tried ignoring it, but it only got worse. Finally, I reached out to a local medium who performed a cleansing ritual, and the shadow vanished. Have you ever encountered something similar?" Mark, that's a terrifying experience. Shadow figures are commonly reported by paranormal investigators and are often linked to locations with a lot of residual energy. Cleansing rituals performed by experienced mediums can be incredibly effective as they address both the spiritual and energetic aspects of these entities. Our first question comes from Jenna in New York. She asks, "Why do hitchhikers attach themselves to some people but not others? Is there something specific that attracts them?" Great question, Jenna. There are a few factors that might make someone more susceptible to hitchhikers. One is sensitivity. Some people are naturally more attuned to paranormal activity and might inadvertently attract these entities. Emotional state is another factor. If you're experiencing high levels of fear, stress, or anxiety, your energy might be more appealing to hitchhikers. Finally, intention plays a role. Those who are deeply involved in paranormal investigations or have a strong curiosity about the unknown might unknowingly open themselves up to these experiences. Our next question is from David in Florida. He asks, "Can hitchhikers be dangerous, or are they just annoying?" Thanks for the question, David. The short answer is that it depends. Most hitchhikers are harmless and simply want to be noticed or communicate. However, some can be more aggressive or malevolent, especially if they feel threatened or if they have a dark history. It's always best to approach these situations with caution and to seek professional help if you feel threatened or if the activity escalates. Our final story today is from Emily in California. Emily writes, "Hi, Bennett. I've been experiencing whispering voices in my home ever since I visited an old battlefield site. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but the whispers became clearer and more frequent. They'd call my name and even wake me up at night. I decided to perform a smudging ritual and set up a protective barrier with black tourmaline around my house. The whispers stopped, but I'm still a bit shaken. Have you heard of spirits following people from historic sites? Emily, thank you for sharing. Historic sites, especially battlefields, are often teeming with residual energy and spirits. These entities might attach themselves to visitors out of curiosity or a desire to communicate. Your use of smudging and protective stones was a smart move and clearly effective. It's important to cleanse and protect your space regularly, especially after visiting places with a lot of emotional history. Finally, a question from Sarah in Michigan. She asks, how can we tell if we have a hitchhiker? Are there specific signs to look out for? Excellent question, Sarah. Common signs of hitchhikers include unusual activity that begins after an investigation or visit to a potentially haunted site. This can include objects moving on their own, unexplained noises, shadows, feelings of being watched, and disturbances in your pet's behavior. If you notice a sudden change in your environment or your own emotions that can't be easily explained, you might have a hitchhiker. It's important to trust your intuition and take steps to cleanse your space if you suspect something has followed you home. And there you have it, folks. Real stories and practical advice from you, our incredible listeners. Remember, whether you're dealing with hitchhikers, exploring cryptid sightings, or delving into government cover-ups, stay curious but cautious. Knowledge is power, and the more we understand about these phenomena, the better equipped we are to handle them. That's a wrap for today's episode of Broadcasting Seeds. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the mysterious world of hitchhikers and came away with new insights and tools to protect yourself. Remember, the unknown isn't just out there. It can follow you home, but with the right knowledge and precautions, you can handle anything that comes your way. If you found today's episode intriguing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Share this podcast with your friends, family, and fellow enthusiasts. Let's grow this community of curious minds together. And of course, we love hearing from you. Your stories and questions make this podcast what it is, so keep them coming. You can reach out to us via our website or social media platforms. Also, a quick reminder to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners who, like you, are eager to explore the strange and unexplained. As always, keep those minds open and inquisitive. The world is full of mysteries just waiting to be uncovered, and together, we'll continue planting seeds of knowledge and curiosity. Until next time, I'm Bennett Tanton, reminding you to stay safe, stay curious, and keep broadcasting those seeds. See you in the next episode.
Yeah. I got bad thoughts that make my mind scared. Hold me hostage and they don't fight fair. Who gon' pray for me and wipe on my tears? Who gon' save me if you not right here? Move this darkness and make my sight clear. Take me your way cause I don't like here. Ghosts of my past, they feeling the night air. Wake me up, I'm trapped in my nightmares. Wake me up, I'm trapped in my nightmares. Drowning, I'm off the deep end. Apparitions of all my demons. All my thoughts are committing treason. All alone, who gon' hear me screaming? Manifestations of my fears. Regrets that stretched out for light years. Can almost touch the light, homie, it's right there. Body free but trapped in my nightmares. Wake me up, don't let me drown. All the lights are fading.